For every birthday since I turned 18, I have felt that I was too old. At 19, I was pushing 20. At 20, I was no longer a teenager. At 21, I was allowed to legally drink in any country of the world. At 22, I looked at 19-year-old TikTok stars who were already millionaires, who already had so much money that they would never have to work a day in their life again. 19-year-olds who had houses and a safety that I could only dream of. At 23, COVID hit and stole at least 2 years of my life. And I know we all lost some years. Some of us lost what could have been the most formative years of teenagehood. Some of us lost their early 20s, like I did. Or maybe you were ready to have children, but you're forced to sit at home and you couldn't meet anybody. And this is another topic, how COVID has traumatized us all and we just moved on from it. But the impact can still be felt in my bones. And I think there are millions of people who have never gotten over it as well. So then I was 24 and I was almost halfway done with my 20s. I was fast approaching the halfway mark. At 25, I felt I was on a racing track towards being 30. I had the same feeling at 26. And this is really where I started freaking out. So at 26, I thought, wow, this is horrible. At 27, I thought, well, if I make it through this year, I'm not going to be one of those who joined Club 27, but also, I'm 27. And then this year, I turned 28. And I did not kill myself. I did not join Club 27. But I was also 28 years old. And while I like the number 28, I am now pushing 30. And I guess there are some teenagers out there who would hate to be in my position. And I know the same fate awaits us all. I know the same teenagers who feel so young and abundant and joyous right now. They will one day be in my shoes, whatever that means. And they will be 28. And they will be pushing 30. And thinking about where they are in their lives. And I know there are also a lot of people on the internet especially who say, you're a baby. At 28, you're a baby. You're in your 20s. Stop feeling so old. Stop feeling like you have to have everything figured out. And I see a bunch of tweets on a weekly basis that are somewhere along the lines of, is it too late to start over your life at 28? Or, I'm 30 and I'm going back to school. I feel so deeply with these people because I too have felt too old for the past 10 years. And part of that is because when you're a teenager, when you're in that age bracket of 16 to 18, 15 to 18, you're the new generation that is coming up. A lot of pop culture is aimed towards you. A lot of new trends stem from your group of people. A lot of fashion trends. A lot of subculture stuff. So when you are around the age of 18, you're so relevant. You're the most relevant that you could ever be in your entire life. People worship you for your young looks. You're just so fresh. And then even when I was 21, I felt myself leave that age bracket. And that was the first time that I felt that I was losing some part of my youth that I hadn't been aware of prior. And it's a strange feeling, losing that for the first time. And then you get older and you blink and 10 years have passed and now you're at your high school reunion. And some people are like, oh, well, I'm an architect. Or they work at an American firm. They work overseas. They have a stable career. And then there's you. And I'm 20 years old and I don't have a degree. I used to study philosophy. And actually back in 2019 I recorded a video which I privated very quickly, but in the video I said, oh hello, it's me. I'm gonna create videos for this YouTube channel now. I don't know what they will be about, but here I am. And obviously nothing happened with that. I didn't continue uploading videos. I blinked and 6 years have passed. And yes, I could have built a career on YouTube. I actually been wanting to do that since maybe 2012, but I wasn't ready then. And I was not comfortable being on camera or anything. And maybe now's the time. I always had a lot of things to say, and I always felt that I had something important to say, that maybe no one else could fill my spot in the way that I could. And so maybe this is another attempt, because the thoughts in my head just seem to explode, and I need to talk about the condition that I'm in and that other people are also in. Being 28 and not having a stable career, I know that's normal for a lot of people. One of the alternative paths that I could have gone down on would have been maybe getting a degree, getting a bachelor's degree very young. 3 years, maybe at like 22, getting a master's degree, starting to work full-time by the age of 25. And I can say wholeheartedly that that would have been my nightmare. I'm not looking forward, or I'm not looking to ever work a full-time job that takes up my entire life, unless it's something that I absolutely love doing. So I don't even like the alternative to what I'm doing now. But there are people out there, and it's sort of like an angel and a devil on my shoulder. There's the devil who says you are a loser, not only because you don't have a normal job, but because the bar that I'm setting for you is being a millionaire, being maybe not famous, but being someone. This has haunted me ever since I've been a child. The thought of being someone, making it in this world, having a stability that I didn't have as a child, having a financial stability that means no one can take my home away from me. I'm not going to starve. I'm not going to end up homeless. I can see the world. And when we think back to when I was 22, and I was looking at all those 19-year-old TikTokers or YouTubers who were already millionaires by that age, that was a very high bar that I set for myself. And I felt like such a failure at that young age of 22, at the beginning of my 20s. And sometimes I still do. It's like every day I wake up and I feel guilty over not having been a child prodigy. Every day I wake up and I grieve that I didn't have someone who said, Emma, you're so talented. You're so special. We need to support you, whatever you want to do. Show me your drawings. Show me your photographs. Because I was a creative child. And a lot of the feelings around feeling too old, feeling like I haven't done enough, stem from me grieving the life that I could have had if I had been supported from day one. And it also stems from living in a capitalist society, for sure. So how do we deal with that? Like I said, I don't have a degree. I'm in my 5th year of being a film student. And all my anxieties about studying at an art school, at an avant-garde art school, you know, they don't teach us how to be a cameraman. They don't teach me how to write a script. It's just about being a filmmaker. And in theory, I love filmmaking. And I know that if I had been supported from day one, I would have probably left my art school earlier. I probably would have applied somewhere else. I probably would have not even needed that kind of education, and that kind of cage to try to be creative in this secluded space. And I don't say this because I want to whine about it. I think there is still so much left to do and left to achieve. When I think about my aspirations, I always look at other people and think, wow, you're so young, you're 22 and you're a famous actress. You already have all the money in the world. And you could retire any day, just be happy, but you can just work because it fulfills you. I envy that. And I know very deeply that I have to get over this ageism bullshit. I think we all do, but it is so hard. There's a part of me that says, I wish we wouldn't have to age. I wish we could stay young forever. If tomorrow a woman would approach me, a woman age 25, and she would tell me, you know what, I'd rather kill myself than turn 35 one day, I would understand her. I would look at her and say, I completely get you. I'm sorry, but aging, especially as a woman, is so incredibly difficult. It is so incredibly difficult to feel like your worth withers with every single day. It is so incredibly difficult to see others get handed things that you want, others who do a worse job. And it is hard being 20 years old and not having a degree and not knowing what to do with your life. Especially in this climate where it feels like World War III could just break out every minute. And I know this is not a video that offers any solutions. If you came here for that, I have solutions on other things, but not on how to solve this. Which I'm sorry, but it is not really in my nature to offer a feel-good experience. I don't do that in my films typically, and I don't do that in YouTube videos apparently. I'm just sending this into the void because I need to say it out loud. And because right now, I had a dream last night that I woke up and I was 29 and a half or something, and I thought, oh my god, I'm going to be 30 soon. What happened? God, what happened? Where did the time go? And the interesting thing about me is, years ago, when I was a philosophy student, I was in a room full of people and I gave a sort of impromptu talk with a friend of mine, and we talked about our biggest fears, and there were maybe 30 people in the room, and I got up in front of them and I told them my biggest fear in life is that one day I wake up on my deathbed and life will just have passed me by, and I just wake up one day, I become conscious at age 85, and I didn't do the things that I wanted to do. And I think me coming to that conclusion at age 22 meant that that path would not be mine. Because in reality, the people who have so many regrets on their deathbed, who say, I wish I hadn't worked so much, I wish I had spent more time with my family, those are the ones who were unconscious all their lives. And I would say of myself that I am conscious now of my life and what is happening, and of almost every moment. And there was a time when this wasn't the case, which was pretty much all of my early 20s. When I was so deep in my trauma responses and the narratives in my head that I could not act as an independent agent. And I suffered so much. I did some pretty cool shit. I traveled to cool places, I met cool people, I studied abroad, but I suffered so much during those times. And I wasn't conscious enough to fully enjoy those things. So now I have regrets, or now in hindsight, I think back of those memories and I realize how lucky I was and how interesting my life has been at times. And yeah, I think mostly this is about grief. You know, at the moment I'm trying to activity max. Last year I only went traveling abroad once, and this year I put it on my resolutions to travel a lot more. So every few months this year I've been traveling to some new places and some places I've been to before. And I realized usually all the good stuff happens when I'm traveling, when I get out of my house, but especially when I get out of the country. Because I go outside here in my native city a lot. I go to the cinema, I go on walks, I sit in coffee shops. But post-COVID, I have found it really hard to connect with people in public because generally I'm like the only person that is there by themselves. People are walking around in groups at all times and they don't want to really talk to strangers. They don't really want to get to know any new people. But every time I leave the country, every time I go to England or Scotland or Paris or the Riviera or any other places, I meet so many cool people and I love those experiences. And I think that's what makes my life worth living, honestly. With all this uncertainty in the world and in my personal life, having the freedom to go outside and talk to people, make new experiences is worth so much more than sitting at home and reading my 50 books a year and then watching all my art house films. So as I said, this video is not offering any solutions. It's just a moment in time of me being a mess and me not having achieved what I have wanted so desperately to achieve all my life. To be someone. To have something to say and to share it with the world and to have the world listen. And to be recognized for what I do. Last year I started writing a short story, which I finished about 3 weeks ago. And that was a mesmerizing experience. Not that it's the best story in the world and, you know, some chapters just felt like slop to me. But it's just something you can do. You can just write a short story, you can write a book, you can just record a song if you want to. And actually I wish I was better at that as well. I wish I could just make music and knew how to do it. But I don't. So I might have to teach myself. I love singing. I think I really love acting. When I was a child, I always wanted to become an actress, and then that just faded. I love photography. And I think I have an eye for composition and for details. And I pay attention to all the little details of the world. All the little details of the behavior of the people around me. I have so much love to give. And I think I love filmmaking. You know, beyond the concept of how romantic it is, I love filmmaking. I love the art of cinema. I love making other people cry. Making other people feel something with my experiences that I share. And I love writing. I love writing poetry. And I would say, first and foremost, I'm a writer. Always. And I can truthfully say that all my art comes straight from my heart. And I think that's what makes it really valuable for me and for other people who are able to connect with it. I also like writing long articles about topics that come to my mind. And yes, this is more of a free format because I want to share these thoughts beyond written texts on Patreon or on Substack. I just want people to be able to listen to my voice and for me to do public speaking. So to conclude, in a way, I'm an absolute failure. If you would ask certain American podcasters, I am a whiny ass bitch. I've achieved almost nothing in my life on paper, but I have forced myself to go through so many triggers, so much childhood trauma, and process a lot of that stuff to come out on the other end as a more conscious being, a more spiritual being, a being more connected to the world around her. And this is just where it starts. This is just where it begins.